talk to internal audit. Hope you've grabbed your coffee and you're now going to join me for a chat on how we might support each other through the key challenges for internal audit in the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond, because I want us to keep now thinking about beyond. So, can I introduce myself? I'm Liz Sandwith. I'm the Chartered Institute of Internal Auditors Chief Professional Practice Advisor. So who, I might hear you ask, if you don't know us, is the Chartered Institute of Internal Auditors UK and Ireland. We are the only professional body dedicated exclusively to training, supporting and representing internal auditors in the UK and Ireland. We have approximately 10,000 members in all sectors of the economy, all parts of the UK and Ireland. And our members are part of a global network of over 200,000 members in 170 countries, all working to the same international standards and code of ethics. So, before we kick off with today's session, I'd like to reflect on last week's episode and specifically a competition we ran. In last week's episode on risk lessons from COVID-19, I gave you the opportunity to share with Talk to Internal Audit some of the lessons that you've learned during the lockdown and how you will embrace them moving forward. The competition winner is, roll of drums, Emma Tilley. Emma was kind enough to share with us her thoughts on how the pandemic has brought with it a strong learning around human communication, and in particular, our approach to internal audit processes and procedures. To quote Emma directly, the pandemic has opened up new ways of thinking around what is professional communication. We are now completing walkthroughs with children on our laps and pets at our ankles, along with clearance meetings with CBBCs blaring in the background or a partner making lunch. Wish my partner made lunch. Emma, if you're watching, congratulations. We're delighted to announce that you've won for yourself an inspirational novel, of which we have 5 for you to choose from. Expect a private message from us on Facebook following this episode. And don't forget, you talked about communication. Perhaps when you've read the book, you might want to share it with your colleagues in internal audit. So today is about supply chain management. The COVID-19 pandemic has hit global trade and investment at an unprecedented speed and scale. Multinational companies face an initial supply shock. The urgent need to design smarter, stronger, and more diverse supply chains has been one of the main lessons of the crisis. What has been and will be internal audit's role in supply chain reinvention moving forward? Some of your suppliers may also have gone insolvent and disappeared. So part of what the future may look like is your organization finding new suppliers. So remember, if you like Facebook streams and want to spread the word, and why wouldn't you? Be sure today's live stream is one you share. You can do that by clicking the share button in the corner of your screen. The more the merrier. So let me remind you of the theme. If you are just joining us, welcome to our live stream, Talk to Internal Audit, and today's theme is supply chain management. Before I hand you over to our guest today, and we turn to look at supply chain management, I would like to set today's competition. So I want you to talk to internal audit about a particular challenge your organization has experienced over the last 11 weeks around supplier management, how internal audit has contributed to providing an assurance around management of a particular risk or the identification of opportunities to strengthen contracts or reduce costs. So bear that in mind. Today, we are extremely fortunate to have as our guest speaker, Maxine Grainger. Maxine is Group Head of Audit and Risk for DFS Furniture Group. Maxine, really glad you can join us. So can I hand over to you now to share with us your thoughts around supply chain management.
Of course, Liz, and thank you very much. Hi, everybody, and nice to see you all over this virtual event. So absolutely. So my name, as Liz has just kindly introduced me there, is Maxine Grainger. I do two roles, one of which I'll focus on today, being Group Head of Risk and Audit for DFS Furniture Group. Obviously, in the furniture industry and sector, the retail sector, we naturally have many suppliers overseas and within the UK, many more being overseas rather than in the UK. So as you can imagine, we have been impacted, quite largely impacted over the last couple of months in relation to our supply management and supplies coming in to our warehouses. So DFS, I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, have heard of them. Currently under the group banner, we have 4 brands. We have Sofology, DFS, Sofa Workshop and Dwell, and all in their own right are the unique retailers. I also do a role for Sofology, which is a compliance role, and all fit in quite comfortably. So first off, I just wanted to kind of lead into really what's been happening at the beginning of lockdown for my audit and risk team. So supply movement in our lockdown, I in March furloughed my group audit and risk team as our retail estate ceased trading and support centres closed, so due to government lockdown rules. Therefore, we could not effectively continue to execute our annual audit plan. Although instructed by the government, at this point, we did make the right decision as a business, which was to ensure our colleagues and our customers stayed safe. So therefore, we made a business decision to cease delivering goods to our customers' homes. Before I talk about some of the key points around supply chain and how my audit function will respond, I just want to share with you how we as an organisation reacted to ensure our goods and supplies were accounted for and stored safely and securely throughout the lockdown. So we have had adequate records and monitoring of supplies throughout the year, travelling overseas and in the UK. At the time of the lockdown, like many other sectors, we had hundreds of products mid-journey. So we had massive containers on the back of ships travelling over, already sat in our warehouses, that there we held customers' orders also. So our warehouses were at full capacity at this time as we'd made the decision not to deliver. And hundreds more items due to land in warehouses. So we quickly ran out of capacity to store. We acted quickly and we set up another interim warehouse, which allowed for safe storage of our stock coming in from overseas. Our main overseas suppliers are located in China and Italy. Therefore, locations shut down completely, meaning we were not expecting another supply to land anytime soon. So, lack of supplies, the impact it's had to us as an organisation. We work on a 9-month development schedule, as the majority of our creative team have been furloughed, so it will have a knock-on effect on our product pipeline in approximately 5 months at the time. So we're planning ahead thinking, okay, it may have had an impact now, but naturally in the long term, it will continue to have an impact. Component parts, again, are sourced worldwide. So these are things like the sofas that you sit on in your own homes, you purchase, it's feet, sips, staples, etc. Suppliers have been running out of selected parts, and we're having to substitute these with alternatives until we can stock the original part. Accessories, we are developing a range of accessories. We normally brief them to suppliers in Asia. We visit the suppliers, make the changes the same day, and we sign them off for production. As we can't travel, the goods have to come to us. They have to then be shipped to new suppliers, and this can take 6 weeks for sign off. This added an extra 6 months on the launch of our new ranges in store, because we're always looking at new products, and we kind of had to slow down that supply of new products due to the lockdown. So in summary, we now have less stock of supplies and have a long lead time to obtain more due to non-travel permitted and the wait time for shipping. So moving on, that's the activity, what's been happening within our sector and some of the key impacts that we face due to our supplies not being available and due to receiving such a large capacity and having nowhere to store it. So what has and will be the internal audit's role in supply chain and reinvention of moving forward? So audit will be making some small changes to the audit approach in the new financial year, meaning we will conduct assurance audits as well as the normal full holistic audits that the business are used to. The assurance audit will see snapshot storyboards be given to highlight gaps, quick wins, etc. in different areas of the business, including supply chain management. My risk team within group are now looking at what risks have been highlighted post-COVID-19 around supply chain specifically, by working with the relevant stakeholders and conducting a before and after risk assessment to understand our supply chain vulnerabilities, opportunities, and how, if possible, we can better be prepared if the risk becomes an issue again in the future. So Liz just mentioned there to think about our opportunities and vulnerabilities around this subject. That's exactly what we are doing within our DFS Furniture Group as an audit team. Results and findings will then feed into my audit team to allow them to plan their audits and/or assurance reviews effectively to ensure adequate oversight and assurance is delivered to stakeholders. Our plans are made on a risk-based approach. So to do this, it complements each other and we then provide added value information. As part of our group ESG, so environmental social governance strategy, we have been working with an external company known as Track Record Global, TRG as the acronym, who provide an annual audit service whereby they conduct visits to all of our suppliers in the UK and overseas and conduct strict audits. Their risk management service model helps us achieve our policy compliance commitments rapidly, efficiently and cost effectively. TRG assess, mitigate and supply chain risks. So TRG uses a risk software management system called Track Vision. This is their platform that allows sufficient reporting and insight to our results and audits, and we have full access to this as part of our contract. And again, that complements our audit work and planning. As a group risk and audit team, we have built our own risk management tool also, which is called Risk in One, RIO. This allows us to capture all risk registers, including all risk related to supply chain. We'll be asking that although we will conduct risk assessments internally, that we will feed into our audit scopes moving forward. We will also request that our suppliers do their own risk assessments on site to support what happens next, to raise any of their own concerns, vulnerabilities, opportunities that they can link back into our work to ensure we're working with our suppliers to get the best outcome. Over to you, Liz.
Thank you ever so much for that, Maxine. I was going to pick up on a couple of points, if I may, but just before I do that, I'd just like to remind those of people who are listening what the competition is today, particular challenge that your organizations have experienced over the last 11 weeks around supply management, and how internal audit has contributed to providing an assurance, much along the lines that Maxine has just talked about, around management of perhaps a particular risk or identified opportunities to strengthen contracts or reduce costs. I think it would be interesting if there was someone on the call from Burberry or Barber where they switched from manufacturing their known products to manufacturing PPE, and what the challenges were in terms of supply of raw materials to those organizations to help them do that. That's just my sort of reflection on this. One of the things I wanted to share with you today with you, Maxine, is yesterday on our Heads of Internal Audit forum, virtual forum, we were talking about audit committees. And one of the things that we were hearing was that one of the challenges that audit committees have with regard to internal audit is they're not seeing internal audit providing assurance around supply chain management to the level that they would expect. I guess based on what you've said, that's not true in your case. You're keeping your audit committee informed.
Yeah, absolutely, Liz. I think we've looked at this from a risk-based approach, as always, so how we can be agile and flexible, looking at our, I guess, key top 5 risks across the business post-COVID, and absolutely the top one there, second one, would be supply chain management. So yes, we have our audit and risk committee planned for July, so in a couple of weeks, and it is an appendix on my slide deck to go through to say, okay, this is what we've considered, this is how and when we will conduct the information I've just explained there and how we will conduct it. So it's the how, what, when and why against supply chain, how audit can add value and provide assurance to the audit committee and beyond that we are there to support and help and identify them vulnerabilities and opportunities.
That was really helpful. So moving forward, I wanted to think about future thinking from an internal audit perspective. COVID-19 has brought many challenges, as you have just articulated, and as hopefully everybody on the call is aware of. But it's also a massive game changer in terms of ways of working, and particularly for those sectors and organizations that have previously perhaps been hesitant to enable employees to work remotely. So if you think about the financial services sector, one of the things in that sector has always been, you know, actually don't even ask to work from home because that's not an option. My son works in the financial services sector and he's never been allowed to work from home until the lockdown. So they're learning something new all the time. So I want us as internal audit to think about this powerful game changer thinking in terms of what we do around our supply chain, how we manage our suppliers, how we ensure that the contracts are appropriately robust, and how we make sure that our suppliers deliver, as Maxine has just articulated, deliver products to the quality that we need in order to maintain our quality and reputation in the sector. So one of the things that I want us to remember when thinking about supply chain management is what we as internal audit need to do. And hopefully, in fact, I would go stronger than hopefully, I would say absolutely. Maxine has given us lots to think about today. Not just quality of your products, not just dealing with suppliers, but even some of the logistics like running out of storage space, needing to find another warehouse. So hopefully that will resonate what you currently do within your supply chain, but perhaps also some of the thoughts and ideas will be new, and the session will have been informative and given you a lot to think about. So in conclusion, first, please now say a huge thank you to Maxine for sharing some of the challenges that she and her internal audit team have faced, not just from an internal audit perspective, but also from a risk perspective, understanding the risks, the challenges, the controls that we need in place to mitigate some of those risks. So just again to remind you, those of you that might be just tuning in, today we spoke about supply chain management. We evaluated, among other topics, the challenges that it brings to businesses and how our profession might succeed in uncertain times. Please remember the live stream is available afterwards for those of you who have friends, colleagues who may have missed the live version, and it's also on the Institute's Facebook channel. Please, please follow all the exciting things the Institute is doing on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. And as a member, don't forget you have access to the latest edition of Audit and Risk magazine on our website. And imminently, within the next couple of weeks, the July and August version of the magazine will be coming out. So please look out for that. Tomorrow, we'll also be formally unveiling our newly refreshed internal audit conference program. How many of you have remembered that the Institute's conference, 30th of September, 1st of October, but it's going to be virtual, new, exciting environment in which to deliver a conference. As you may be aware, as I said, it's now running virtually, so please keep an eye out for the details of this on our social channel. I'm always happy to take questions, so please don't hesitate to email me at liz.sandwith@iia.org.uk. Hopefully you'll join me next week, same time and same place, because I want to talk about reimagining, reinventing internal audit. Remember, I spoke a moment ago about COVID-19 being a real game changer. Well, I want us to capitalize on that as we think about what internal audit is going to look like moving forward. And we'll also announce the winner of today's competition. So if you haven't yet responded, please leave a comment. Please don't forget to bring your coffee with you, tea, water, whatever you want. And remember, please talk to internal audit, because the Institute is listening. Thank you and stay safe.